was the one used at the very top of the hat. There the merino is very thin but black. There to use the dark green version, which turned green through my wearing it. When I got it, this was also darker. So I foresee that back in 1875 to 1890 max, when this hat was made, perhaps also replace that. Perhaps it's not the absolute original merino to replace the back in the who knows, but it must have been darker initially. This is clearly black, because by that time they're mostly making it black. Mostly top hats were only worn for very formal occasion or by very, very formal, very high in society ranking people, so they were always black. So you might tell me, yes, but then why were they not making them higher and more formal in style? Well, because society as a whole had completely depleted in terms of formality. But still, to mark it as a formal, more evening and or formal occasion thing, it would always be black underneath the brim. In those days, it was more often, they might have had more top hats, so perhaps the one in the evening, if not a collapsible one, might have had the black and maybe the under brim, but then perhaps this one was ordered for the day. Which also explains why the sweatbands were darker often. I mean, I know because sweatbands leather turns darker very quickly with sweat. I know it from my glass, but still, this is so much darker. It must have been darker initially. Although it had been clearly worn when I got it. It did get even darker since I wore it for 6 months, but and also due to the hair gel I wear, the hair creams. But still, I thought it would be darker because back in the further one goes back, the more less seen as a very formal special occasion thing, the more something to be worn every day, and the more people were dirty, and the more life as a whole was dirty, earlier that things tended to be darker, simply not to show that, to look clean whilst actually not being clean at all. So on top hats, yes, still very good workmanship throughout. It says all black silk, but it does not say special quality. Again, perhaps it is the same sort of quality on that one, but this is the maker did not desire it. Perhaps it was some sort more of a marketing thing that they did not put in that one. Who knows? I'm not expert enough to know that. In my remembering, if anything, the silk was perhaps even nicer on that one. It is hard to judge now because I glossed it, so it looks very different. Now it actually looks like silk, as one may see below the light. But there it still is, kind of looks like fur. One could believe this is very good felted wool, peluche felted fur, like I made a video of. See the black stitching. So this will still be all hand assembled. They have the bow there, which is intact, and look, the bow is clearly not a 19th century bow. It seems it is some sort of rayon or silk treated with special treatment that it did not have yet in the 19th century, I know. Although this one has no bow. So was it removed, perhaps? Was it lost? The bow, equipment from hats and guitars, explains simply. Often, initially it was to tighten the hats because they were questioned wear when people rode horses more in the early 19th century and all, but then they kept it until today because when looking for the hat, especially in the dark room, you would immediately know which one is the back by this feeling. Which is to be worn in the back. Now, I wanted to say something. Yes, the band, see, is just sewn on the back. In my other French one, the first one I ever got, which is very damaged, and it's more from the late 10s, early 20s, which I shared on Instagram, and which is in France. The band, I see, was actually sewn on one of the sides. There it is in the back. There's a teeny bit of wear, see, at the edge crown there. The brim binding, there the brim binding was more here. It all got broken out. I glued it back on top because the sides had completely broken. So what I did is, rather than completely replace it, I wanted to keep it as much original as possible. And by that time it was not, this is not the brim binding, this is actually the hat band. I took Daiso cloth glue, that is water made and completely, it removes itself with water, it would be one of the least damaging glues you could ever get. And I glued it back on because it was all flayed, it could not be sewn back. It was not a problem of the stitching coming off, it was a problem of the silk being too old and used up. So it just broke at the sides. So here are the glue marks. It's important that I could not wash off completely. But there, it is practically the same cloth. I mean, it is because I'm super OCD and super fascinated. I'm trying to see if there is the least difference. Culture on the camera, yes. Overall, it is the exact same cloth. It is silk grain that they call petasham, whatever. Obviously, there is a wool merino, or no, wool felt band. This is wool felt, very thin wool felt. This is the merino underbrim. So overall, the same materials, just different styling more than anything else, different dimensions, and then different ways of curling. This is just more hard. No, sorry, the other one is harder to make because of the hourglass shape and this very nicely curled brim. Probably in the future I shall, try to, because I can make it look like that just by forcing it, just to see, but I do not want to do that just now. It is brand new and I just got it. I want to just wear it. See, first of all, it actually wears well. Otherwise, I would kind of give up. I think it should be fine. See, now this is the antique one. My hair is undone now, but it's not really a hair problem because most of my hair is gone now. I'm getting old, so. And see, it sort of cannot be pushed down much. See the difference? I clearly prefer the older one. It is a time period. But this one, no, this one feels way more comfortable. I have way more room. I basically have 1.5 more centimeters, and it does make a slight difference. The problem is that I don't want it too large, and then then have all these problems that come from too large hats. Unfortunately, it still seems a bit tad, but if I will it there, it's fine. See, it does not fall off. For it not to fall, I have to wear it kind of there. But then, that is the problem. If one wants it very comfortable with the hat, then it falls down. And the problem with this stiff and yet fragile hat is then they will get damaged very quickly. So one makes it, yes, but they don't bend down like a magnet. But again, and more period accurate to the times, I actually have dogs, and I'm quite relatively active in that sense that, you have all these rescued dogs between I and my mother, and so we walk them. So, and I do many things like in the old school days, like for example walking to the supermarkets and all. I do not actually drive. So except if I get somewhere very far and I have no choice, otherwise I will walk to the places. And I wear these things, I intend to wear it as my everyday gear, just like people did back then. And people, that is why things did not last, again, going back to what I was saying a billion times, so much, because people lived their bloody lives in that clothing, and their bloody lives were even more active than mine on average, and way more active than yours most likely. So things got damaged, and it had few things, they got although they repaired them, those things did not last so long, even if they kept on repelling them, especially with the more fragile items like the top hats and all. So if one desires to live like the past, and I do live like the past more and more, as one advances into the future, I go back and further into the past by having so many things that are actual originals or perfect reproductions, as they're not just the clothing, like the hat boxes itself, the combs, my furniture, everything. So washing things more and more by hand. So it is actually nice to wear it and sweat in it and damage it, but then I have to also compromise the fact that it still has to be a minimum comfortable, especially that I live in the extreme climate and intend to only wear that hat. Since I'm not mourning now, I intend for now to wear it like this. Not add anything or anything. If one day I shall be mourning, I shall add, hopefully it shall fit over. But I don't want to try it now because the silk is so fragile. I do not want to just try the mourning band with perhaps this finally for some odd reason it shall not fit me well or whatever. Probably I shall wear it from this evening onwards when walking my dogs, because I have 2 dogs right now with me. My mother has got the other 2. So yes, I just want to say a few more things about the sweatband. See, what they did is there's a sort of again marks as a very good quality hat.